Hi guys, welcome back to the Social Tune, and today it's finally time to take a look at the latest album by Deep Purple called inFinite.
I'm unmoved by your evil glare, the way you toss your hair. You make stupid accusations by which time I've lost the thread.
So, this seems to be a trend recently, but let's talk about one of my most anticipated albums of the year. Deep Purple are rock legends that I was raised on and who helped form a lot of my taste in hard rock growing up. They're held in the highest regard among their contemporaries for their craft for damn good reason. And while they have made some lesser albums, particularly in the 90s, they've also made some truly stellar ones, with my personal favorite of course being their 1972 classic Machine Head. That album is frequently heralded as one of the best albums in rock and roll of all time, and it also gave the band their biggest hit to date, Smoke on the Water. And while I do honestly love the version that became popular, there's something so awesome and visceral about the album version that is nearly 6 minutes long. And that's not counting all the other classic rock songs from that album, from Highway Star to Pictures of Home to Space Truckin'. Now obviously, when you're a band that's been around since the dawn of rock and roll, you're bound to have a few lineup changes. And while none have quite been able to measure up to Mark II, our current version of the band, Mark VIII, released their album Now What in 2013, an absolutely phenomenal project, one of their best in years, with fantastic songs like the goth rock Vincent Price and especially the incredible lead-off single Hell to Pay, which remains one of my favorite rock songs of the decade. Now one of the big differences on that album was their producer, Bob Ezrin. A man with an impressive back catalogue of production credits who's worked with everyone from The Kings to The Darkness to 30 Seconds to Mars to Taylor Swift. And he was a large part of why Now What was such a masterpiece, encouraging the band to write more hook-driven songs. And according to most of the reviews that I've read so far, this album was said to be even better, building off of the organ-touched formula that they brought on their last album. So I went in with high hopes, and I have to admit, I was a little underwhelmed. It's certainly not bad, and there are definitely some great songs here. Deep Purple are incredible composers, but it's not as good as I was promised, and I have to admit that's a little bit of a shame. So let's get the least important element out of the way first, the lyrics. So if you've heard a Deep Purple album before, you'll know that they're not overly complex in terms of their songwriting. At their best, they can be fun and over-the-top theatrical, and at their worst, they can be a little cringeworthy. And on this album, you get both sides of them. The only song on this album that isn't originally theirs is Roadhouse Blues, a cover of the classic Doors song of the same name. And look, while it's not as good as the original, it's better than the awful Ministry cover from 2007. Otherwise, the only song that I really found cringeworthy was Hip Boots, which they may describe as so cool, but considering it's a song about literally wading through shit, it's just not. And then you have the over-the-top theatrical rock songs where the lyrics do not matter, like Time for Bedlam and The Surprising, which are still really compelling, both great songs, especially the latter, which has our protagonist getting tricked by the devil into pursuing the rock star life of sin, only to be saved by an angel at the very last minute. We'll come back to that song once we talk about the production, but then you get One Night in Vegas, a song where our protagonist gets stumped in Vegas, swears to never drink again, and yet the very next night he gets married again in a drunken haze. And yet by some miracle, 30 years later, the two of them are still together. It's just a fantastic, entertaining rock song, and what's wrong with that? Or take Johnny's Band, which tells a story familiar to many musicians about a kid called Johnny who starts a band and makes it all the way to the top of the charts, only for one of the members to join a cult, one of them to become a drug addict, and the other two also gradually losing control along with their fans. And yet, years later, they're still playing, older and nowhere near as popular, but still performing their hearts out for their craft. Hell, I even loved All I Got Is You, which is a song about being in an utterly toxic relationship, which he freely admits he's only in for fun. I just love how bluntly honest he is, particularly considering she's no better. And if there is a loose theme to this album, it would be about rock stars and their lives, the bad decisions they've made and the passion for their work, which is probably why the album ends with a cover, as a tribute to another great rock band. Now I will say, this album is held back from true greatness by a number of weaker tracks. Like I said, the lyrics on Hip Boots are just embarrassing, and songs like On Top of the World and Get Out of Here just are not memorable at all. But the great songs are still here, and they do compensate for a lot. And frankly, so does Ian Gillan.
Found my tongue back in my mouth. I told myself not to drink again. One night in Vegas.
Yeah, while all the members of this band really do deserve their due diligence, this guy's just fantastic. He's been with the band for decades, and he still sounds as great as ever. Sure, he's older, but he's so full of confidence and rock star swagger that you kind of tend to forget that at times. Hell, even on Hip Boots, he really does give the song his all. It could have been a lot worse. Hell, the only time that I didn't really like him was on Top of the World, where he really just didn't sound very engaged. And The Surprising and One Night in Vegas really did prove to me that he's still a really compelling storyteller. He really does keep your attention. Granted, those songs would have kept my attention either way, because as always, Deep Purple's production is phenomenal.
When the devil took my hand and said something you should see.
Like I mentioned before, Now What was mainly driven by a bunch of great hooks, and it really ended up being incredibly catchy and fun. And to its credit, this project does have a few songs that would have easily fit on that one. The organs that ring out over One Night in Vegas, paired with the fast-paced piano, guitars, and drums with touches of cymbals, the damn great drum and bass foundation on Johnny's Band. Even Hip Boots had some great instrumentation to make up for the silly lyrics, and lead-off singles Time for Bedlam and All I Got Is You both have some fantastic riffing, and I just love these interludes with the chugging guitar and the organ. In fact, all the solos and instrumental parts are fantastic. Deep Purple themselves has said that they would consider themselves an instrumental band rather than a rock band, because that's what they've always been good at. And give them credit, Roadhouse Blues may feel a little busy in its mix, but it's definitely bluesy, with the great saloon piano and even touches of harmonica. Now with that said, they can't all be winners, as Get Me Out of Here really did feel quite stiff. But that's still 1 song out of 10, it really is a big win overall. And nowhere is that more clear than on The Surprising, which is an outright progressive rock song, with the great bass work and the spacious production with touches of strings giving the song a huge and mysterious atmosphere, which builds to a fantastic drum and organ riff that leads into our alien instrumental interlude that is fucking gorgeous. This goes on for a good 3 minutes before the swell of strings and pianos lead us into our final verse, before ending on that killer riff once again. Fantastic song. And so, at the end of the day, this album does have issues, but it's still Deep Purple. They're one of the best and most influential acts in rock music. And this is yet another damn solid project to their name, with some truly standout moments. And so I'm giving it a strong 7 out of 10. Do not pass this band by if you haven't heard them yet. So thank you guys for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. If there are any other albums coming out in the next month or so, please post them in the comments or tweet them at me at @thesocialtune, link in the description. Please subscribe so you don't miss a thing, and until the next time, I'm Finn, and this is The Social Tune, signing off.